I just thought I get online and just because I just came up from my greenhouse downstairs and the tomato plants are doing good. I had a little problem. I think I better get another timer for my light system because what's going on is I think that the lights are on and they're not. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you. And the lights not being on, especially this time of year, in Zone 7B is crucial. The lights must be on. I keep them on for 15 hours a day, um, fluorescent lights. And like I told everyone else, just buy a regular shop light. Do not go out and buy $300-400 sets of lights. I mean, as if some of you actually have that kind of money. Some of you might, but I doubt based on the economy right now. But the thing about it is uh, buying those lights um, is like $15-20. Home Depot. They got the kind that you actually just put together, and once you put them together, you know you got a better deal as far as lights are concerned. But I put my lights together. I got them set up. They were cutting on and cutting off when at the wrong times. I had to go down there and actually pay attention. To the older timers are hard to set up, but some of the newer ones are easier to set up. You can just, there's a lot less to it. Someone figured out that no one wants to actually have to figure out how to use this timer, so they come up with simpler timers to use. But this one here is still rolling after so many years, and I kept it. But maybe it's time to upgrade. Um, the deal is this, folks. My tomatoes are looking good. And the reason for that, they're not long and lanky because once they break through, here's the key. Once they break through the soil, once they come through the soil, do not leave them on the heat mat. Once they come up, do not leave them on the mat. Yeah, do not leave them on the mat. Hey, hi, how you doing? You were on earlier. Yes, you was on earlier. I tried to go to your what they call it, Facebook. I couldn't get on there. I said I don't know how to group or whatever, but it's all because of my age. That's why I don't know how to do that. That and I looked around a little bit and I said okay, but I think it's a real good idea you have about okay. Good evening. Oh, good evening to you as well. Yeah. Now I'm gonna tell you guys something else. The reason why we're on this subject right now, beautiful Nest TV, Nest TV. Um, I just had this little setting up here where it says top chat, some messages such as spam or whatever. I had it turned off, so I never knew that for at least 3 days. I never knew that what was going on. Why I didn't see anyone online. Um, and so I'm just going on and on and long story short, here's what I'm talking about. It was a setup that Miss Beautiful Nest TV had a very good show. I didn't even know she had a show until I was looking through my my internet and I saw. I said, wait a minute, live. I clicked on it and I saw it and I said, wait a minute, she has a live show. She did a very good job on it. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, I checked out her technique. I checked out her style. I checked how she communicated. Got back to people when they were hitting in. I said, okay, I like that. Um, but I just felt like I wasn't able to get onto the Facebook. I'll try it again and see what I can come up with. Because she's got a whole setup there where basically people are grouped together to help each other, and there's certain guidelines that they have to practice when they come into the room, so that way you don't get crazy and and it's all over the place. Um, Here's another thing. I thought I would go in and be one of the advice people, but I said you got to be there a while before you can go in and just do that. So I said, okay, well, I better lay back on that because just come in and find out what's going on, and then go from there. Um, Back to what I was saying. This video here was type brandywine, growing brandywine. tomatoes. The reason why I'm talking so much about brandywine tomatoes is because it's considered and called one of the finest tomatoes you can grow. And that's why I'm kind of pushing it. I'm telling everybody to grow brandywine tomatoes. Also, I'm growing another one called Cherokee Purple. Um, Tomatoes are relatively, for me, easy to grow. They are heavy feeders, and you have to feed them. You just can't. People put them initially in the ground, and then they just leave them, and they go, okay, good enough. But no, that's not how it works. You have to keep feeding these plants. Now, if you're using a liquid feed, you can follow directions, but I got my own way I do my stuff, so I won't tell anybody how to do this. But for me, I feed mine with a liquid once a week. That's what I do, and I get great results. Big plants, healthy plants. Um, but then again, you know what I do? I make my own fertilizer out of weeds and also grass. So that's what I do. If you want to get down and dirty and say I'm not spending nothing on these plants this year, then you could also go towards that route and create your own fertilizer. The fertilizer is simple to use. Once you keep it in that water for at least thank you. Make sure that you it's listening on Facebook. Okay, all right, I appreciate that. That's all. Because I'm not all that computer savvy. God, that thing was hot. That sweater was hot, folks. I'm sorry. I apologize. Oh yeah, that's better. Oh, that was so hot in there. I was saying I can't believe that. Anyway, tomatoes. Great thing to grow. Great to give to neighbors. Great to give to family. Great to eat on your own. Beautiful thing. Cooking a burger on the grill, turkey burger or beef, and lay just a whole sheet of tomato right on top of it. A little bit of mayo, a little bit of onions. Beautiful. Um, and the greatest thing about it is you can grow this food for little or nothing. And then when it comes to storing this food, oh hello, how you doing there, Food City? All right, hi. Once you get the growing of things down proper, where you can grow actually produce food, then you're gonna be looking in down the road on how to store this food. Because it doesn't make sense to grow all this wonderful food, and then have it just basically go to waste because you don't know how to store it. And there are many people out there that's on these internets that has a ton of information on how to store this food, and that's where I'm at with it. So I got to get into that part of it myself. Um, but the plants are doing fine. I got a little. Here's the pot I use, and all of you are familiar with this pot right here. I don't know what size it is. I guess it's a 2-inch pot. I put. This is what I do. They recommend everywhere you go. Majority of the videos will say put two, maybe two, three seeds in here. Maybe I put 10 in here. All I want to do is start them, and then I go from there, and I pot them off. I do a little special thing to their fertilizer, so my plants are never hungry. Never are they hungry. I used to use fish emulsion, which is good to use, but more suited for outside because of the smell. Excuse me. And so that being said, the key to it is giving give your plants everything they need so they don't suffer. They don't ever go through any kind of shock, like they're not watered properly, or the kind of water you're giving them. Because a lot of people are still, I mean, they can't help it because they don't have some of the resources like the other gardeners. I have rainwater that I use every year to make my fertilizer and to also water my plants. So that's how I do it. And when I do that, I'm definitely I'm not paying no high water bills for the water no garden because my plants get water depending on the plant now. Some of them get it daily, depending on what the weather's like. Morning gardener will use okra and do um the only thing I would do because I'm thinking about this year. I was thinking about it yesterday. How I was going to actually start my okra. I'm using a different methodology this year. One thing I'm going to do is soak them and you can soak them in a little glass of water, but you want to use. I like to use rainwater. I'm sorry, I just like rainwater. It's a better deal. But you soak them in the rainwater and you add a little bit of peroxide in there to kind of force them to germinate faster. And once they start popping for the first day, I might let them. It depends on how they're doing. I might let them soak for 2, maybe 3 days. It's a very hard seed, and what you want to do with okra and just about any seed that you're using is get the biggest seeds in the daggone pack. If you open up a pack of seeds, get the biggest seeds, get the biggest and the fattest seeds out of this pack, because some of them are gonna be skinny and small, and you don't want that. You don't want that. I mean, I don't like growing them kind of seeds because they grow small plants. Okay, you've already started your okra indoors. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okra is a heat-loving plant, and wherever you are, as long as you have them temperatures, where the okra is not going to have any problems. And then bring them outside and harden them off. And hardening them off is not a big deal. You got to be very careful though. Don't put them in direct sunlight. Put them in like a slight where they're getting light, but you know, just enough light, but not to in direct sunlight. You're going to put them out there for 30 minutes the first time, 30 minutes the second time, and then you gradually increase that for about a week. And after you do that, you're ready to put them in. Hello, how you doing there? The bull. Yeah, I have not. Look at that. See, the man comes in the room like everybody else did here. He comes in the room. Good evening, MG. Now, first, I didn't know what that was. So I said, well, morning, gardener. And then I said, and he says, and folks. So he said goodbye. He said hello to everybody. If you go check out his videos, I love his show. Um, I think that I think he works too hard though. I think he works too hard, but he's doing a good job. But he works hard, and but uh, I have over the years have learned how to do just completely less and get good results. He gets good results, and he puts the work in. I used to do the building of compost piles. I don't do that anymore because yeah, he has a very good show, very good show, very good. And uh, the thing about it is that you can compost anywhere. In my yard, compost is everywhere. Um, when when the weeds are cut down, I've used a chop and drop method. I stop taking it over to the compost pile it up, and then bring it back so I can use it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I've done it before. I guess I'm getting older now, and I don't want to do that anymore. So now what I do is I chop everything down, or I pull it from the root out and just lay it on the soil. I'll just pull it out and lay it on the soil, and it dies because of the simple fact the sun is on it. The and it just dies, and it goes right back into the ground. I'll give a good example of something else I did. Thanks, Garden City. Okay, there you go. Another thing I do is when I pull all these weeds up and I lay them down, or I go over with the weed trimmer and I leave them there. I do more service to my ground because I keep roots in the ground. The roots from those plants are still in the ground and they're still feeding the biology. Still feeding the biology. And then what's cut off on the top lays on the ground and the biology eats it as well. So it's like a two-pronged approach now. But I do that because I'm learning to do everything the natural way. I'm not doing it the way I used to do it with coming out there with that big heavy tiller and tilling the ground all up and then wondering 2 or 3 months into the game why these tomatoes and why these cucumbers and why they're not growing is because I just ripped through there with a weed whacker. I mean, excuse me, with a tiller. And that tears up all the homes of all the biology that it took them a long time to get it built. And then you go through there with a tiller each year and you tear it all up. And then you wonder why the plants aren't growing. But they're not growing. And then another thing they do is when the rain hits the ground, because the ground has no protection on it, It simply creates a hard pan effect on that ground. That's what it does. It creates a hard pan. Oh my God, weed trimmer. No, I didn't get my new weed trimmer yet. Because I was getting ready to grab one, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna grab this one, but I didn't really like it because it was huge and it was bulky, and I said, I really don't want this one, but it's the only one I found at the store, which is I want to say Lowe's or Home Depot. I go between those two. But I have found one, and it was at Lowe's. Beautiful. It was sitting there, and when I saw it, I grabbed my cell phone, and I started taking pictures of it, and I started getting the information because I'm gonna research it first. I'm not just gonna go buy this piece of, buy this tool and find out it's a piece of crap. I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. That really would bother me to take money and just throw it away. I'll give you a good example. I bought a Toro weed whacker. It said professional grade or whatever, professional grade. Uh, it was 18 long, and and keep in mind now, I grow a jungle, and I grow a jungle in my yard sometimes for a reason. Two things. One, it hides the food so neighbors won't see it. Another thing it does is it gives the insects something else to eat other than my plants. And I've shown you that through my videos. I've shown some of you that I have been in my yard from the corn to the tomatoes to the squash and everything. They were not the mosquitoes. Excuse me, the insects were not eating my plants. They weren't touching them. They were eating the grass and the weeds and that sort of thing. And that's what they were doing. Hi, morning. Hello, how you doing there? Um, they were eating the grass and the weeds. And then I find when the weeds get too long in one area, I pull them out of the ground and lay them on top and everything. And the soil is black, it's crumbly. My soil is not the same soil I came here 19 years ago and had. It's not the same soil. It is pretty. Around my trees, I cut all of the branches off when I'm doing my pruning. And I cut them up into pieces 8 and 6 and 12 inches long, and I drop everything at the base of the tree. Come back in about 6 months to 8 months, and the wood is gone. The wood is gone because it just goes into the ground where it's supposed to go and feed my tree. Feeds my tree. Another thing, if you haven't sprayed, I'm in Zone 7B, if you haven't sprayed your fruit trees yet, go out there, if you get a good day, and start getting these trees sprayed down with a organic method um, to prevent the problem with bugs just eating them up as soon as the fruit is produced. Because they will do it, and you will feel pretty bad having the peaches come online, and you look at them and you say, "Oh, there's the peaches. Oh my God, there's the peaches." And then when they get about a quarter size, you see these little dot holes in them, and all you got is there was an insect that went in there, and that's all that happened. And you want to kill as many of them that are on the branches, all up on the trunk and around the base of that tree. Spray it. You don't have to use a lot of it, but spray it. Dormancy spray is what you want to use. Now, point one thing out about that. If you don't spray them, you could have 40 peaches on the tree completely eaten apart, and you'll get maybe 6 out of that 40 peaches. That'll be decent enough to eat. You don't want to do that. I've done that too many times, and I know what it feels like. A lot of what I've done through my years of gardening is trial and error. I've made the mistakes, so I know, and I have paid attention, and I've followed the natural way of gardening because it's just a better way of doing things. You don't want to go in your pocket and empty it out just to grow food. And if you don't watch it, these slick salespersons that are coming online will get it online and they'll tell you you need to buy this, you need to buy that, you need to buy this, you need to buy that, and everything is fattening up their pockets. Excuse me. So when you look at your tomatoes and you average the cost up that you paid for your supplies that year, it wasn't really worth growing those tomatoes, and you don't want to do that. I knew a friend once. His name was Hank, And Hank would go out and he would get the fish when he would fish, and he would put them in the ground. And I'd watch him. I said, "Why is he doing this?" That was years ago now. He was an old guy now. And Hank would put the fish in the ground, and he would grow these tomatoes. And guess where he got the seeds from? This is Hank was insane in a way. He would order a fish sub with tomatoes on it. Yes, slices of tomatoes. And he would remove the seeds from the daggone tomato. I said, "Oh my God." I said, "I don't believe this." And he would grow tomatoes from that. Hank was rough. Hank knew how to get soft shell crabs for his lady to eat as many as she wanted and paid $0. He caught his refrigerator was full of fish. Uh, and I call them the high dollar fish when you talk about like rockfish. He would keep the refrigerator full of that, and he would stuff the rockfish with crab meat, and that's what he would do. And he didn't pay anything for that stuff. He didn't pay anything for it. When he would go uh, fishing, and I would tag along with him, and I would say, "Hey, we got to go to the store and get some bait," because that's what I was taught. And he said, "Follow me." And we walked along this little area, and I saw these clothing, if you will, laying on the ground. I said, "Who would lay clothes there?" Hank left them there, crowded with worms underneath. He would pick up the worms and he would put them in a container, maybe 2 or 3 dozen. I said, "Okay, this guy's crazy. I know it, but he's good and he knows how to fish." I said, "But some of the stuff he does is crazy." Um, but he would he would get 2, 3 dozen worms. He would go down and take a net with him, and I see him carry this little 6 foot net, and he would dip off of the pollen all of these grass shrimp that they were selling at the bait store for an arm and a leg, and Hank would get it free. So my story is this: there are ways to do things. When Hank would finish when he would finish fishing that day, he would say to Poland, he would say, "You want the bait?" And I said, "What do you mean? You want to use the worms for later, right?" He said, "You go ahead and take them. I'll get more." So there I still had a dozen and a half worms. Or he would give me a dozen and a half of soft shell crabs that was still alive. Incredible. And I had a professor walk by me that day when I was fishing, and he said, "It's a shame." And I said, "What do you mean?" I was sitting down there with a plate, and I had 8 soft shell crabs fried, and I had a soda or whatever I had at the time. And he says, "It's a shame." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I have to work all day and bust my butt, and you're sitting there eating a plate of soft shell crabs." And I said, "Yeah, is there some problem or something?" And he walked off. I remember that. Never forgot it. And that was many years ago. I never forgot that. So gardeners have the opportunity to do the same thing. To eat the finest of foods, pay barely anything, nothing for them if they don't. You can pay nothing for food. The stuff you grow on, if you really know how to, go in and out of certain ways of getting it done. But the thing about it is, we are programmed to go to the box store when we do a garden. We go to the box store and we get our seeds, and then we get our seeds. We get all these little soil amendment things, and that's what we do. I say if you don't find a crazy sale on it, leave that stuff there. Because I've never went into a box store and saw a bag of fertilizer and paid 11, $12 for a bag of organic fertilizer. I don't do that. I do not do that because I know what it is. It's garbage. It's garbage from the poultry industry or whatever other kind of food industry. They grind it up, they cook it, and they make it into a powder or they make it into little pellets or whatever they do to make it pleasing to the customer. And when you look at the ingredients in it, it's garbage. It's basically garbage. Blood meal, garbage. Where does it come from? The slaughterhouse. Look like blood that's been cooked and ground up and it's powder. Same thing with the bone meal. Same thing processed. So that's a uh, product that's garbage. Once they pull the cow off of the bones are garbage. But there's some use for it, and then they take it, put it in a bag, and mark the heck up out of it. They want close to $8, $9 for a bag of powdered bones. Um, there was another company that sold wood ash and had it marked up. And here I was throwing away, before I knew better now, don't hold that against me, before I knew better, I was throwing away a bag of almost a 35-pound bag of wood ash from my pellet stove and didn't know that it was worth something in the garden. I didn't know at the time. I did not know. I was throwing away a fertilizer, almost 35, 40-pound bag. Didn't know that it was worth something in the garden because I just didn't know. Now I know, and that won't happen again. This year I had close to maybe 15, 20 pounds of wood ash so far that I went out into the garden and I went around my fruit trees and I went around all my little bushes and everything except for the blueberries. I don't want to change any of the pH around those. I got the pH pretty much where I want them at. So my blueberries are doing really, really, really good. Really good. But the key to growing a successful garden, to keep this in mind, folks, is to make absolutely certain that when you put the seeds in the ground, that's not it. That's not the end of it. You get the seeds in the ground. I want you to spend more time on your garden. Uh, when I do my plants, you see the weeds everywhere. 15 inches around that plant, the weeds are backed off. None of their roots come within 15 inches of that one plant that's in the center of there. That's the whole key to what I use. I back them off because weeds are more adaptable than your plant could ever imagine. And they will rob nutrients, and they will rob water, and they will rob fertilizer. They don't care. They'll take it all because their job is to do what? Survive and reproduce. That's why you always see vines wrapped around trees, wrapped around other plants because they're trying to choke off their plant so they can survive. And their job is to make sure that they can produce the future generation of their kind. And it's what all in nature does the same thing. Everything in nature happens even with humans. Once one encroaches on the other one's location, it's time to back them off, even if you got to go to war. It's sad, but it's what it's all about. I agree. I see. I looked at you. Let me just say this, the bull. I have the utmost respect for you. I saw what you're doing. You work every day. You come home. You enjoy your garden, and you're trying to take all that wood you got growing. If some of them trees are no good, man, if they're not producing any food and everything. But if you like them, if you want to keep them, that's one thing. But all that wood that's there is nothing but a food supply. You should not ever go out and buy anything to feed your plants because everything is there. I looked at your yard when you walk around in it. Everything is there. Everything. That piece of property has the potential to not only feed your family but other families because you got some weeds there. You got tons of grass you cutting, and I don't know what you're doing with all that grass, but that grass is fertilizer. Um, it is a fertilizer that's high in nitrogen, so that's great for your fruit trees because when it comes time and they start budding out, you want to fertilize them as they go through different stages. But when they put fruit on, you take them grass clippers and go around them trees. And when you go around the trees, you will see once they receive that nitrogen, they will start to uh, size up. The fruit will just really start sizing up real good. The food is already there. The food is already there on your property. That's any property, really. I mean, because at where I'm at, I know how to take weeds down, grass down. You could break it up if you want to, or you could put it down at the base of tomatoes. You could put it down at the base of pepper plants. And as that weed begins to rot or dry, it creates a living mulch. No, not living, excuse me. It's a mulch. Then it turns around and feeds at the same time. And what did you pay for it? $0. We're not doing it the right way. What we're doing, here's where I'm at, folks. I'm only preaching this for one reason. I saw how it works. I had some of the biggest and the prettiest tomatoes, the biggest and prettiest cucumbers, and I was growing. I said, damn, I'm not spending any money. I started not spending any money. Back in the day, okay, let's see. I got to get fertilizer. I got to get this. I got to get this. And I got to make sure I have enough of this. And that's what I was doing. I was panicking because you're looking at how much this stuff costs. And then you look at how much you actually think you need. I said, think you need. And so you go out and you buy all this stuff. You put it in the ground. And you see little, if any, results. Because the truth of the matter is, you should have been fertilizing your plants in the fall and in the winter. That's when you should have been fertilizing. Because that's what nature does. Nature don't fertilize in the spring. Everything's growing in the spring. And everything's growing because of all year when those weeds are standing up and they fall down, they hit the ground, they begin to decay, and they go into the ground. And they create a liquid tea. Nature's been doing it for millions and millions of years and don't need your help to do it. Nature does not need your help. So once it goes into the ground, because of the rain and the snow and the ice, when it comes time to wake up, the temperatures start going up, those plants come up, they've already got all the food they need pretty much underneath of them. Well, yeah, we learn from each other. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying right now because we learn from each other. And uh, I have been out there a while and I've seen what really takes a course here. I've seen people work. I mean, I've seen people till and they till all the way up to their old men and gray and 70s and 80s and they still tilling to the day. They still till. They believe in that, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. You can't keep doing that. You're ripping up the soil, and the soil could have much more potential, but you're making the soil horrible because you keep tilling it. And then you wonder, why is it like this? Why is the soil like this? Why is the soil always hard and clay? And well, the fact of the matter is, a lot of us, there's more clay on this planet than there is other types of soil. But you can work with clay soil if you use a different approach. That's all I'm saying. I don't do anything to my clay soil but lift it up in the winter. Excuse me, in the once the soil becomes workable, I go out. And if you mention this on your channel, hey, I found out about this morning garden. Bring some people my way as well. I appreciate it. But the thing about it is um, the fork. Using a fork, they got something. It's a large. It's a garden fork is one, and you don't see those large garden forks in a lot of the stores in the U.S. You just don't see them, but they're here. They're being sold, and you can actually make them. You can actually make these forks. But if you look at the method of forks in your soil as opposed to tilling, you'll see how beneficial it is as opposed to just going out there with a tiller and ripping up the soil and everything. You go down into the soil, it goes down about 8 inches. You till the soil, you go back about another 3 to 4 inches. You put this fork down, you pull the soil, and you keep repeating this. And what it allows is just as important as fertilizer and water, a lot of us miss a very important point. A very important thing that they miss that goes in that's just as important to your plant, if not more. And that's oxygen. And oxygen doesn't get into the soil a lot of times if that soil's been walked on, if that soil has been yeah, exactly. It's air. Yeah. People don't they miss that. And they go, why my potatoes and my cucumbers aren't growing like they should. What is going on? What is going on? That's what's going on. You could have those plants in there and they're growing slow and you keep checking them once a week, and then once they've been on the vine too long, it's like the plant just wants to die. It says I can't do this, and you don't want to keep doing that. My grandmother used, you know, so, here's where I'm at with this. You say your grandmother used to till. A lot of people till. We were taught that from people walk behind a horse and a mule back in the day, and they would rip up the ground because that was a way of dealing with loosening up the soil and dealing with some weeds and that sort of thing. Got it. I got it. What we discovered through understanding the nature of soil, or understanding a lot more about the nature of soil. Let me correct that, because we don't know everything there is to know about soil. We don't. Um, Soil doesn't need to be ripped into to put plants into. Man used to go out into the soil and spray harsh chemicals over the soil back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. This is just harsh. They were killing people with those sprays they were doing. So we try not to do that, like we once did. Spraying. Now they create seeds that bugs won't eat when the plant grows. Do you want to be eating that? No, you don't want to be eating that. But my point being is that uh, you have to make sure that you understand that the soil is alive. It is actually a living thing, if you will, and the all of the life that's in the soil creates homes at different levels, and those levels, when you churn them all together, you just ripped up their homes. Yep. So that's where I'm at with it. So I go do what I got to do, and I put the plants in the ground. Make sure you get enough air into the ground by using the fork. You can use a manure fork as well. That's what I use. It's a little slower instead of using the big wide fork, which I doubt if I ever own one of them because I can do what I need to do on this small garden, without using a fork that wide. And if I did get a wide fork, chances are I'll take my welder and I'll get the materials and build a wide fork myself because I'm not paying $170 for a fork when I can make that sucker myself. All you need is rebar. That's all you need. Um, but the thing being, once you get the tomatoes in, once you get the squash in, and start trying to get your stuff planted out early. Plant it out early because, like I said, my tomatoes have started indoors already. I did try a risky thing, which was getting some peppers started early. They didn't take. Um, they like to germinate in temperatures around 75 degrees. And it's not that warm in my greenhouse, and I refuse to crank that heat up to that temperature. I'll just wait for a little while longer. I still have a little bit of time to play with. Um, so that being said, I will get a number of different peppers that I'm going to grow this year. I know that I'm growing. I know I'm growing chilies. I know that I'm growing something called New Mexico #6. So I'm growing that. Bell peppers, definitely growing those. and that's how that works. And another method I'm using, I've shown some of you this here, which is starting them in plastic bags with just buy the paper towels, the little cheap paper towels, and spray them with solution, which is water, and close the bag up, date what you got in here, date it, and everything, and you all set. So once they start coming out, then you just go ahead and put those in the cup. Yep, there's another one. But these are all peppers. And when you put them in here, you're just trying to give yourself an early start. That's all you're trying to do. And there's no problem with it. So I went to the store, and I did do this now. Nope, I never. You get your paper towels. I think that's that's what you want to do. Get your paper towels, and then you want to get your box of sandwich bags, Ziploc, and you're all set. And when you get that done, you can start your stuff very early and then add them in the pots. The only thing this allows you to do is to see which seeds germinated. And remember, when you look through your bag, when you pull your seeds out, try to look for the biggest and the fattest seeds that are in your bag, because they're the ones going to give you a premium plant as opposed to a smaller plant. Yeah, average bag of plants. And if you haven't bought your seeds yet, the store's already loaded with them. They're loaded with your seeds. You want to get them because what happens is a lot of times people go through all the stuff that you wanted to grow. Like they might grab all of the brandywine tomatoes. See how I work that right? Get back in there again, brandywine. But you want to make sure that you get that because the brandywine is a good tomato. But if they're gone, then you have to drive around and see if you can find them or whatever. But go ahead and get what you got to get. Get everything now before once you start getting these warm days coming in, everybody's going to start thinking gardening, and they're going to start going to the garden department, grabbing everything in sight. And if you want it like manure, like I use cow manure, another product from the farming industry that's really just trash, but they sell it. But long story short, you want to make certain that you get the cow manure, and the cow manure is something that you can use, but they're always out of it. You know, you can get something called it's called Garden Pro. You can get that, but I can't. Walmart has something they put out one time. It was 1 year. I hope they don't do that again. They put out a bag of something. It was a 40-pound bag. It was plastic. It was like $1 and something. And I think it said manure. But then when you read the bag, it didn't tell you what kind of manure. Because I know that they use human manure in some some farming. I know they use human manure. And human manure is great, to use if it's being managed properly. It's great to use. But if it's not, then you don't want to be messing with manure. It just said manure, and I said, I can't mess with that. $1 or something. Why is it not telling you what kind of manure it is? Yes, rabbit manure is excellent. And I guess you're asking me that question because you didn't say who, but will it burn? No, it won't burn plants. It will never burn plants. Rabbit manure and cow manure is two of the safest manures you can put on plants. But rabbit manure is just a really great fertilizer. The only problem with rabbit manure is getting enough of it because unless you're raising a rabbit, it was you used to see some of the videos that some of these guys have. They have these rabbits in these cages and they got these tarps laying down on the ground, and the rabbits just produce all of these pellets, and there's nothing but black gold. And so they just clean it up and pour it into a bucket and everything. And now, what goes in is what comes out. As long as you're not feeding the rabbit those uh, store-bought foods, then the rabbit will produce a better quality pellet. But if the rabbit's eating, all natural foods and everything, and then the rabbit will produce a much higher quality pellet. So that what goes in is what comes out. You're not going to get a high quality food coming out if you're feeding, let's say for instance, you're feeding a cow garbage, and then you think it's going to be quality coming out. No, it's not. Absolutely. A rabbit manure is like using compost. It allows you only the great thing about it is it's higher in nitrogen because it mixes with the content of the rabbit's stomach, and that's the nitrogen side of it. But yeah, it's a great thing to use. It's a great. So, yeah, absolutely, it's sold commercially. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But finding it is the thing, because you have to wonder why the big box stores don't sell rabbit manure. You can buy it online, but I wouldn't buy it because it's going to cost too much to ship it. It's going to cost too much. Bat guano, people use bat guano. People use chicken manure. Chicken manure is great, but it's just hot. You got to know how to handle it. Um, uh, I was getting ready to say Craigslist, but you just don't know who you're dealing with on Craigslist if you try to go get a bag of manure from them that's rabbit manure. But if there's a cheap seller on there that selling rabbit manure, yeah, he would be selling it. But if you're really deep into gardening, um, there's one guy. I mean, he's got this beautiful channel. I can't call his name right now, and he raises rabbits. And you see him go over there. He collects the rabbit poo, and he goes over and he puts the tomato plant in the ground. He puts the rabbit manure around it and everything, and he grows some of the prettiest. He lets you see all the pretty tomatoes that he grows. But I look at the guy and I know what he's doing. He's retired. So he stays on that garden. He's not checking it once a week. He's checking that thing every day because the plants are perfectly healthy. He clips off any yellow leaves. You can see that and it's too neat and clean all around the garden for you to just be popping in every 3 days or popping in every 4 days. He's staying on that garden because he means for the plants to stay completely healthy. The plants will tell you what they need. A lot of times, if you're paying attention to them, all you got to do is look at the plants. The plants will tell you. Look at the leaves. If they're turning off green or kind of yellow or yellow at the bottom or yellow at the top, they're telling you what certain things that you will learn as you go along to be able to give them what they need. Another thing is if you are using water from your house, trust me when I tell you this, folks, all those chemicals in that water and that chlorine in that water is not good for your plants. Know that from experience. Not good for your plants. And every time you water the plant, you'll see them slow down in the way they grow. Slow down. And if you take the water and you fill up a 35-gallon drum outside a little trash receptacle, and you leave it with the lid off, well, no, you can't do that because too many mosquitoes. Can't do that. Nope, too many mosquitoes. They will use that thing. You'll see thousands and millions of them swimming around in there. But if you could put water in there from your hose and leave it there for 48 hours, and you dip it out and put it in a watering can, yeah, you could give them better water quality for your plants. But to give them right from the hose, I would not recommend that. But if that's your only option, you know, it is what it is. Yep. I have to apologize, folks. I do sometimes get a little particular about it because this is what I do. I spend a lot of time gardening. It's yeah, I am obsessed with it because um, day and night, uh, 24 hours a day. That's what focuses on my mind. It's what I do. I enjoy it. It is an obsession. It's not just some people go out and garden and grow the stuff and then next year forget about it until it's time to garden again. Not me. I start gardening as soon as the stuff slow down in the summer. I start getting my fall garden out there. Yes, it is. It is therapy. Gardening is absolutely the best therapy. Some doctors will tell you that to get out there and become one with Mother Earth. And they say that actually touching the soil can actually improve your health. But you gotta check with your doctor on that. 9 thumbs up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When I go out into the garden, it puts my mind at ease. I don't care what kind of day I had at work. I feel the pressure come down when I go out there and I look at the apple trees and I touch the leaves on the tomato plants and I'm actually checking for moisture in the leaves. Absolutely incredible therapy. Incredible. Take a deep breath and just go, oh yeah. That's how you feel when you're in the garden. You just want to just you stay out there until you feel all the pressure come down, and then you feel like, oh, I feel so relaxed after you just got off work. I feel so relaxed, and you'll come down from that, and then when you eat the food, oh, you feel so much better. You feel so much better. It's on its way. Warmer weather is on its way. The bull, have you ever just always wondered that? Do you, excuse me, eat your rabbits? I wouldn't do it. No. Okay, you don't eat your rabbits. Okay, okay. Um, I tried growing okra in a container. You might have better success. It did produce okra, but it didn't produce anywhere near what it would produce if it was put in the ground. Raised beds would be fine. I mean, no problem with that. You got to space them correctly apart and make sure they get enough to eat. Because remember, you're talking about a plant that's raising babies, which is the pods of okra. And once they start producing, you got to check it every day because they'll get real long on you quick, and it's just harder to eat once they get lanky because they get more fibrous. I grow it every year. I love okra. I bought the seeds 5 years ago, and what I do, I let them go to seed. When I'm tired of eating them, I let them go to seed, and they produce pods that are like they're almost 12 inches long or whatever, and they turn brown. And then once they turn brown, they split, and you want to get them before they start dropping on the ground, the seeds. Once you gather the seeds, you collect them, put them in a envelope, put the date and what it is, and you got seeds for next year. It's no point in keep buying seeds because here's the deal. Whenever you save seeds, the seeds become familiar with your soil chemistry. That means that when you put them in next year, they grow faster because they're already familiar with your soil. You're quite welcome. Good evening. You do the same. Have a good evening. Excuse me. Let me tell you something I do, folks. When I save my okra, I save the biggest seeds because they produce the biggest okra plants. And you check the okra. If you do like when I do 6 plants, then 6 plants is enough for one person. If you do about 20 plants, and you try to, you better be good because if you got to check them every day because they're gonna be producing and producing and producing it every day you go out there you're gonna have okra every day. Well, that's 1 hour went by, good people. I'm gonna call it, but it's been real good. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. And big Big thanks to the young man, the bull. He got on the line today, and I don't see him in the room very much anymore. He's probably working on certain projects around in the garden. But definitely keep in touch, everyone, and I will see you on the upside. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.